Hey admins, how we doing out there? Monday before Christmas, so happy holidays to everybody. Hope everybody has a good and safe Christmas. Looks like a lot of lodges had their Christmas parties last week, so that was good as well. Um, got a few things to talk about on this video, and I'll try to make it as short as I possibly can. So the very first thing I'd like to talk about is at our lodge officers meeting and our lodge general membership meeting, we need to make sure we are following the actual agendas. There are agendas for both of those. The officers is much more shortened and succinct as far as what needs to be taken care of. There isn't a lot of pop and circumstance in uh, that meeting per se, but we also need to remember that the one for the general membership meeting, we have to be going by that. Make sure all of your officers have a copy of that so they can follow along and know when they have to speak as well. And if we've not done it, since we've had this change in about 2 years now, make sure there's extra copies for the general membership to kind of follow along as well. Um, we have lots of lodges not doing this and going into a meeting, doing it however they want, and they are missing information, not being detailed, not covering proper business, and it is coming back to bite them in the butt. Um, that's why we use this agenda. It covers everything we need to be discussing. New business. New business, let's discuss that. There's a section for that. That's where we discuss anything new, and your membership can approach the board with something new that they want done. Now, we need to remember that when that new business comes up, the board does not vote on it right then and there, and neither does the membership. So, for example, let's say someone was coming before the board and they wanted to do something for the local dog park. They would give a proposal to the board. Preferably, that stuff would normally actually be written or typed out and for the board to take back for consideration. That's the way it is in the bylaws. But a lot of lodges don't do that. But let's just say someone was suggesting that they are going to do something for the local dog park and they give a dollar amount and this is what they want to do. The board doesn't decide right then and there. The board takes that under review. So the board's going to discuss that at their next board of officers meeting. And then they may agree or to give a donation or to do something or allow something to happen. Then when those minutes get reread at the next general membership meeting and the board of officers minutes get read, that's when the membership's going to vote on it. So let's say that member wanted to give $500 to local dog park. The board has to consider that, and the board on their own doesn't get to give the $500. They need to consider it, vote on it, and then bring it back to the membership. And that's when you're reading your next officers' minutes and general membership meeting. And in those officers' minutes, you're going to say that the board voted to give $500 to the local dog park. At the end of all of that, then you're going to have where the membership votes on approving the officers' minutes. That's where they're approving what you've done. They always have the right to say no when you go back and revisit this. Also, when we're talking about the old business, that's when you're also reporting on things that have been brought up before the board before. So if that person brought up wanting to go to the give money to the dog park and the board considered it and decided they were going to pass because they didn't have the money right now and it wasn't going to go any further, they still have to come back and let the membership know because that person has the right to know that the board considered it and passed on it. Always follow up with the reason why. The lodge doesn't have the money right now. We're looking at some other projects that are going to tie our money up right now. We might consider that. Please come back in a few months, 6 months, and propose that again. It's not that we didn't like the idea. We just can't do it right now. Also, when we're reading those minutes, the reason why we read both the officers' minutes and the last lodge membership meeting minutes is because we need to let them hear it. If they were at the meeting, they should be there to verify that, okay, they gave me an answer on that dog park and or there was information left out. That's their time to speak up and say, no, we're not gonna, before you approve those minutes, I have a question because we've left something out from the last meeting and either it needs to be added in or it was we read the information that was incorrect and needs to be corrected. So we've got to make sure that we're doing that. As I'm coming to meetings, if we're not following that lodge general membership meeting agenda, I'm going to stop you before the meeting even starts, and I'm going to make sure you have copies for all the officers and a few for the general membership. Again, you don't always have to have them for all the general membership when they come in, but if you've not been doing it correctly, you need to at least let them know this is the process so they can kind of follow along. I'm telling you right now, not keeping proper minutes and not being detailed in your minutes is getting a lot of lodges in trouble right now, whether it be a government agency coming back to want to see something or a member complaining about something that the lodge is doing, which is happening a lot right now. And that's where you get your most complications. Someone saying that they're not doing something right. Not having details in your officers' minutes and your membership minutes is a big problem. You need to be as detailed as possible. Now, when we're talking about things like, I don't know, let's say for example, we're going to talk about the board of officers met and they're looking for someone to come paint the social quarters because we can't find any members to do it and they're going to pay for it. They need to let the general membership know that they're getting quotes and going to 3 different places and going to have something to come back with them to vote on. They don't need to know all the details. They don't need to know that Bob Smith's on the board and he doesn't like Porter's paint for this reason, blah blah blah. You know, Joe's on the board and he doesn't like Smith's painting, whatever it might be, for this reason, blah blah. They don't need to know all those details. They just need to know the facts. The board is looking and taking proposals. They'll be looking at them and possibly taking the cheapest one. We should normally almost always take the cheapest one, but maybe not. Maybe the next bid up is a little bit more, but it's including more stuff, or we've seen their work, we like their work. But if you choose that, again, you should be filling your membership on why you're picking that group. More detail is important. So we've got to make sure we're having more detail in our minutes. Last but not least, I want to talk about audit committees, which is now called the Financial Review Committee. Every lodge is supposed to have one. This is an obligation of the lodge. Several lodges are not doing this right now, and I assure you, not doing this is going to cause you a headache in the long run, because when the membership says something's not being done right, it's usually a money issue. That's the first thing they do, is complain. And that complaint either comes to me or Moose International, and then we're going to go out and take a look. If you're not having this done, it's going to cause you a big headache. And I understand in a lot of lodges, it's hard to find volunteers to do this. Again, the Financial Review Committee is made up of 3 people. The chaplain, which is on the board, is on that committee, but is not the chairman. Then 2 other people, with one of those being designated the chairperson. The president gets to appoint those committees and gets to appoint who the chairperson is. Again, the chaplain is not the person in charge of that committee. We need to make sure that is happening. There is a Financial Review Committee PowerPoint that I'll be more than glad to see anybody that wants, but I'm also, again, in this email, going to be attaching the form for them to fill out. It's fairly self-explanatory. Again, that should be done as often as the lodge wants. It can be monthly, quarterly. It needs to be done on a regular basis, though. I do say when you're looking at those sales, it wants you to put social quarter sales in and cost of goods and run that percentage, and it wants you to be at 30%. If that runs high or low one month because the lodge one month bought a bunch of inventory and has a big bill and it makes that number look really skewed, make sure you're explaining that to your membership. Or what I recommend doing is doing 90 days, 3 months of sales into that category, because it kind of evens those numbers out. Because especially New Year's is a perfect example, when we bought a lot of stuff pre-inventory and we may not have the sales until December 31st, and then the sales go on, get reported the next day, that kind of stuff. But you need to make sure you're doing a financial review, because that's the one thing that's going to save your butt when saying nothing. If there's ever any accusations, you can say, look, there's a Financial Review Committee. They've been doing their due diligence. They come to the membership, and we report monthly on what's going on. We tell you our financials once a month. If you're not doing that and they don't hear it, they have the right to complain. And I'm telling you right now, people are complaining about that situation. Now, I will say there's lots of times when people are complaining, or people who are not going to meetings. But when they call and complain, I want to be able to say to them, the lodge is doing a financial review. And if you're not going to those meetings to hear it, that's on you, because it is being done. But when they say it's not being done, and then I go back and it's not being reported in minutes and there's no financial review to look at, that's on you, not on them. So please make sure we're doing that. If you need help understanding how to do it, please give me a holler. Thank you. Have a good Christmas, everybody. And a good New Year's if I don't see you between now and then. Take care. Bye.